This question appeared in IES 2021 paper, paper 1, question 1C. How is intertemporal pricing a form of price discrimination? Give an example. So price discrimination is something when you are charging different prices from different sets of consumers and sometimes even different prices from each consumer also. That is what your first degree is. Now, whenever the word intertemporal is coming, it is having a relation with time. So intertemporal price discrimination is that when the product is launched, initially the price is higher, but over time, the price is reduced. The best example is, for example, iPhone, right? So when it is launched, any new version of the iPhone is launched, um, the price is very high. But over the time, when the newer version of the iPhone has to be launched, the earlier one's price is reduced. And that is being done so as to capture the additional market, so as to capture the additional consumer group. Other example could also have been, for example, book, right? So the publishing houses, they can publish a book in the hardbound, and they can also publish it as a paperback. So people who really want to study that book or who really want to read that book, they will be buying the hardbound initially. And when after some time the paperback is going to be introduced at a lower price, then the other people will be buying that. That is an idea. So this way, the monopolist is able to extract more consumer surplus than what he would have been able to do if he would have followed just a single price policy. That's an entire idea of intertemporal price discrimination. So the first point is, it means you're charging the high price initially, but over the time, price is reduced. Please write, it involves charging a high price initially, and then as the time passes, price is lower. Price is lower, right? So this is also like your second degree price discrimination. So here, Apple is not saying, no, no, you are coming to me, you will pay a high price. Other person is coming to me, you will pay a lower price. No, nothing like that. Apple knows it very well that it is getting the different kinds of consumers who have different willingness to pay. But the problem with Apple is that it doesn't know that which consumer is which. Means which consumer has a higher willingness to pay and which consumer has a lower willingness to pay. Apple doesn't know this. So Apple will follow a simple strategy. I am going to launch this. Initially, the price is going to be very, very high. Only those users who are like, I mean, devoted Apple fans, they will be buying it at such a high price initially. Apple is going to extract the entire consumer surplus out of them initially, but over the time, the price is going to be reduced so that now Apple can extract the consumer surplus from the other group, which doesn't want to pay such a high price, right? So it is similar to your second degree price discrimination. So see, the point which I want to make is that in this case, Apple is not saying you pay this price or you pay that price. Apple is just telling the different price categories. In fact, it is telling the different price categories over the time, and the people are self-selecting themselves, right? So you also self-select yourself when you buy a new iPhone and you just buy it on the day of launch. So you are self-selecting yourself to be a huge Apple fan, and you'll be buying it on the day it is going to be launched, even if you're going to pay a higher price. Or you can self-select yourself into a different price category. That is, you'll be waiting for a year or so when the prices are going to be slashed, and then you will be buying it. So you can do that as well. So what happens is, so the example would be, when new iPhone is launched, right? That's one example. So other example would be publishing both hardbound and paperback editions of the book, right? So the point is that you're trying to divide consumers into different groups. Dividing consumers into different groups, as in dividing consumers according to their willingness to pay, right? So those who have a higher willingness to pay will be doing so at this moment when the product is launched, when the hardbound is is published. And only those who are unwilling to pay such a high price, they will be waiting for the price to be slashed, and then they will be buying an older version of iPhone, or they will be buying a paperback edition of a book. So the main point is that you are going to divide consumers into different groups, so that those who are willing to buy do so at the higher price, and those who are unwilling to buy, they will be doing so, they will be buying at the lower price. The key is to divide the consumers into two groups. So that those who are willing to buy at a high price do so initially, and those who are unwilling to pay a high price wait and buy the older version of iPhone, or in the bookcase, they will be willing to buy a paperback, not the hardbound, because they are not going to pay a high price. So if you're going to just take this up in terms of a diagram. So there's Q, there's P, and this is the, let's say, demand for group 1, and this is the corresponding MR1 for group 2. And let us say this is the MC. So MR equals to MC is out here. Huh? This is for the people who are willing to pay a high price. So they will be buying Q1 and they will be paying P1 for this. So this way, it has extracted almost a very high portion of the consumer surplus out of them, right? And then you have the another group, right? You have the another group like this, who has the demand function like this and the MR function like this, right? And for this group, the MR equals to MC lies here, tup, 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 and it will be paying this price. It will be paying this price, M2, oh, sorry, P2. So what has happened is, as you guys could see, that the first group is having a higher willingness to pay as compared to the second group. And the second group, as you could very easily see, it has a very elastic demand as compared to the first group. So first group is willing to pay the high price also, it doesn't matter to them. So the first group is willing to pay the high price, the high initial price, which is charged by the firm. So please write. The first group is willing to pay a high initial price for iPhone. Over time, what has happened is that the price of iPhone is lowered to capture the additional consumer good. Over time, the price of iPhone is lowered to capture the other group. Capture the other group of consumers. Right? So the monopolist will be able to extract the higher consumer surplus by charging different prices than by following a single price policy. So monopolist will be able to extract a higher consumer surplus using this strategy than with a single price policy. Than with a single price policy. You with me? So this is what it is for this question. How is intertemporal pricing a form of price discrimination? Give an example this way, right? Thank you, Vita.